with Rob Lewis, Jesse Simons, and VolQuest.com. Rob, 20-point win for the Vols, blowing out the Gamecocks, pitching a second-half shutout. All sorts of storylines in this one. 3 quarterbacks, probably the best game Jim Chaney's called in a couple years. Jeremy Pruitt had his team ready to play. Initial takeaways from Tennessee's blowout win.
I mean, I was on record as thinking Tennessee would win as you've been calling it all week, a rock fight. I didn't think that Tennessee was going to score 41 points. I didn't think Tennessee was going to throw for 319 yards. I didn't think they were going to hold South Carolina under 3 yards a rush. Big-time performance for Tennessee.
I mean, it was just complete complimentary football. I mean, you had 2 special teams touchdowns. You had the effort by Tennessee's seniors, whether it was Jawan Jennings, who was just amazing. I mean, the dogman thing gets thrown out there all the time, but I mean, how many tackles did he break today? And then you had Daniel Batuli, 15 tackles on it, scoring a touchdown. Darrell Taylor, and then Jarrett Garantano coming off the bench and throwing a couple of touchdowns.
Cue the Undertaker gift right now. I mean, my God, who saw that coming? You know, and Shrout played well too, and everybody's going to be titillated by that. But I thought it was pretty
QB competition.
Yeah, and I thought it was remarkable for Jarrett to come back and play the way he's had it. And he handled the postgame stuff great. So, putting a smile on, saying everything had been a pretty smooth week for him. And 11 to 19, and he wasn't dinking and dunking. He made some throws. The one he dropped into Jawan was a big-time throw. And when you're around the kid, he's hard-working, he's conscientious. I was glad to see him bounce back.
Rob's writing about this later tonight, so a little teaser. But Tennessee did respond with a bunch of adversity tonight. Yeah. And they had Darrell Middleton get thrown out, some shoddy officiating early on, and then you had a bunch of guys get dinged up, and so you had a Jameer Johnson step up. You had Darnell Wright leave, and then Wanya Morris get hurt, who goes back in the game. What was kind of your takeaway from seeing a bunch of guys go in and out, and yet Tennessee kept making plays?
And going out at places where you're not sure about the depth. I mean, it looked like kind of an insignificant footnote. Getting Jameer back this week turned out not to be. He played and played well. Wanya moving over to right tackle, which, very little work there, did well. Darrell Middleton, who's been playing as good as anybody up front, they're already without Bumpus today, and they stonewall, South Carolina on the ground. I was really impressed, and the biggest thing I thought they bounced back from was the touchdown in the first play of the game. Everybody's hype, boom, they go 75 yards, and then not only that, they score late to take the lead going into halftime, and it felt like South Carolina had the momentum coming out of that first half.
Pruitt afterwards, as we wrap up here, very complimentary of Tennessee's fans. He basically gave a recruiting pitch, immediately walked off to the podium and said, why wouldn't you want to come play here? Neyland only had about 90,000, but it was awfully loud tonight, probably as loud as it's been in a while, I think.
Especially in the second half of a game. I mean, there have been some times when, Tennessee's fans have showed up and been excited and been loud early, and then the team hadn't given anything to stay for. Tonight, in the second half, you could feel a pulse in here for the first time in a long time.
You could feel it. South Carolina, when they were backed up right here in this end zone early in the second half, the fans going crazy. Darrell Taylor gets a sack. Again, huge showing for the Vols. Maybe they have turned the corner. I wrote about it earlier in the week. If this was a game Tennessee needed to prove they could win, they did. They now have 7-1 UAB coming up here. Neyland Stadium, 7 p.m. next Saturday night. We'll see you there. Plenty of coverage to come on this win for Tennessee at VolQuest.com. Come check us out.